On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, brought to you by Double R Communications and Southwest Mortgage Partners of Union Home Mortgage, Davis and I sat down with Mary Bingham. Mary is another candidate for Safford City Council coming up on this upcoming election. Mary has been on the council before. It's been a few years, but she is ready to be involved again in that capacity. So we had a great conversation with her. She's super nice. Mary, another one of those names that she's and hear, but I just never have even talked to her before. So I had a great time getting to know her. I hope you enjoy listening. There you go. Cool. Awesome. So this is the podcast, Mary Bingham. Nice to meet you.
Nice
we talked
to meet
a little
you guys.
bit
Yes.
already. You realize who we are now,
Yes.
which that's helpful. So you said you know my mom pretty well.
I know your parents.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That's good.
So be nice.
I trust me. And I will say, if we have one avid listener of the show, it's my mom.
Oh, good.
So
Hi,
if
Julie.
we hi Julie. If we might only have one, but she is listening. So don't say anything bad about it.
I won't.
When somebody says that they know my parents, I'm blessed to be someone who doesn't really make me nervous because I know my parents are
They're good people.
Yeah, they're good people, and
Yes.
they probably have not offended anyone. So
Yeah, that's a
props
good
to my
point.
parent. I don't think my parents listen to very many episodes, but
That's a good point. Yeah,
They
there's
listen to this
obviously
one.
parents out there. When someone says, "I know your parents," they might be
like,
like,
oh,
"Oh,
yeah."
yeah." I mean,
now when somebody says they know my brothers and sisters, I'm like, which one?
Which one?
Yeah.
Oh, is so-and-so your brother?
Yeah.
Who's asking?
yeah.
Depends on who's asking.
My brother Darren listens to this podcast, and Darren, I hope it's you that they know. I'm just kidding.
Well, McKay's been on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
I don't know if he listens to it though.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
so
Mary,
yeah.
welcome. We're excited to have
Thank
you.
you.
on.
Thank you for having me.
We got a lot to talk about. We told you we were going to hit you with the hardballs on this one.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
No.
Fire away.
Totally
Fire away.
kidding.
So, I don't know you.
Okay.
I know of you, but I don't
Right.
know who you are, and that's
Right.
why we like the podcast. Is it gives us a chance to just get to know the people in the community. And you're one of those people where I hear the name and I recognize the name. Obviously, now seeing your signs out, so I know the name. So I'm excited to get to know you, the person, and so
Great.
that's what this is about. Is
Okay.
to give you the opportunity for us to get to know you and any listeners to get to know you, which can be an important thing since you are, running for Safford City Council. I think it's important for the city to really know who they're voting for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning before we started recording that sometimes with these local elections, it's almost like a popularity contest, and that's why I think, to your point, it's even more important for
Exactly.
things like this to get to know it, because if you're just voting based on a last name,
Then
then
you get what you voted for.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, you hope voters do their research, but
Right. Well,
Well,
to be
here's-
honest, how many do really?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
here's an opportunity for them to again get to know you.
great.
So
Okay.
So tell us about yourself, and you
Okay.
can start wherever
I
you
want.
You can go
Okay.
all the way back.
I was born and raised in Pima. I'm
All
an
right.
elder from Pima.
Awesome.
And that's where I grew up. And then, so I grew up a Pima Rough Rider. And my husband at that time and our kids, we moved to Safford.
Where's your husband from?
He was from here. His
From
family
Safford,
had the
okay.
Bingham Transfer and Storage.
Okay.
He would be my ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay. Gotcha.
Anyway, we moved to Safford
Okay.
when our two oldest were just young. And so they were raised as Safford Bulldogs, my three kids, who would be Mitzi and Jeremy and Brandon. And, of course, now all my grandkids are Thatcher Eagles, and who would have ever thought I would be in Thatcher Green?
And here you are in Thatcher Green.
Exactly. I have people come up to me all the time. I never thought I'd see the day that you would wear an Eagle shirt.
You know what? But
What it
here
is.
you are running for Safford City Council. So
Exactly.
you're still a Bulldog.
And I've
Yeah.
lived in Safford ever since. Been in Safford ever since, and always been involved in my community. My oldest daughter when she was born, she had heart issues and ended up with needing to have an open heart surgery when she was 5.
Oh, wow.
And so I was involved with the Red Cross blood drive for 14 years because of that. I chairmaned that for 14 years for the county. And I was involved with the March of Dimes because of things they did to help us financially. And so I've just kind of been involved in community stuff forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I moved to Safford, of course, I concentrated on my kids and worked in their schools. Well, not worked, I volunteered.
Did your kids go to Safford, though?
My 3 kids went to Safford.
They all graduated from
Yes,
Safford. Okay, I wasn't sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon spent a couple of years in San Antonio.
Oh.
We had family that came in, and he was our cousin was a colonel on the Fort Sam Houston
Oh, wow. Okay.
Army base.
Okay.
And they came for a summer, and Brandon wanted to go back for just a few weeks and loved it out there. It's kind of like the size of Thatcher,
Uh-huh.
but set right down in the middle of San Antonio.
Oh, wow.
The
okay.
Army base, Fort Sam Houston. So pretty neat because all of the teams and things they played were out in the hill country. So it was like going to Patagonia or going to, Bisbee, these outlying.
Yeah.
Anyway, he calls and says, Mom, I want to do my junior year out here. I said, what? You can't do that. What are we going to do? And he said, I promise I'll come back and graduate. Just let me spend 1 year out here. I love it out here. And everybody was on board, so that's what he did. And, of course, that's where I graduated
Oh, cool.
as a cougar. But anyway, he spent 2 years there. And
So
then came
he
home.
said, I promise I'll spend my junior year, but I'll come back. And he said,
promised he'd come back and graduate.
Once he got there,
So we either drove 12 hours or I flew out of El Paso to watch his games. He played basketball and football and baseball and he was our baby. I mean, Jeremy was already married then.
See, and I've known Brandon for a long time, but
that's all right. You would know Brandon.
Yeah, but I don't think I ever realized that he did that. I mean,
Yes, he did.
he might
He
have
did.
told me, but I didn't realize that.
He
so
did, and he loved it, and I loved it out there. It was, if I had to live somewhere, I think that's where I could live. But it was
Anywhere besides the Gila Valley, right?
anywhere besides the Gila Valley.
Gila Valley is number
I
one.
just said if. That was an if.
Right.
If I had to live anywhere else. You didn't catch the if.
My bad.
Oh, no, I'd never leave here,
Yeah.
ever. There's some beautiful places out there, but I can go see them, and I'm glad to get back.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, he spent 2 years out there, but it was really nice because it was a small school like he was used to.
Yeah.
But you had the opportunities of the city because it was literally in the middle of San Antonio, not far from the Riverwalk and
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly,
cool.
exactly. But all of their games were outside of the city limits because they had to go to the smaller schools.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and football's a religion in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and I was really, actually looking back, and I was glad he got that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Really glad he got that opportunity because, like on an Army base, those poor coaches, they never know who they're going to have on their team every year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the transfers in and the transfers out, and so you earned your spot. If you played a sport, you earned your spot.
Yeah.
And it was a school that Shaquille O'Neal graduated from, so he
Oh,
would
really?
come back and visit. His shoes are in their display case, and those things are like size 23s.
Fill up the whole display
It's
case.
crazy. I didn't know a human could have feet that big. And he has always, and I'm assuming still does, he supplies all of their basketball programs with everything they need.
That's
And
awesome.
It's been really, so that was kind of a neat
Yeah.
thing too. But yeah, he spent 2 years there.
Huh,
You'll have
see?
to ask him.
Yeah, I'll
about it.
talk. I like I said, I
I've
probably
seen
should
it.
know that, but I didn't realize that.
Not a lot of people
Yeah.
know that.
Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that. So,
Oh.
but I felt like I needed to be. When you said so, they all graduated from Safford.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
actually.
technically, no. Yeah.
Technically, no. Technically, no. So.
But most importantly, they're all Thatcher Eagles.
But
now,
now
so.
they're all Thatcher Eagles, and I must say, you guys aren't as bad as Pima thought you were. Or Safford for that. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's so I kind of cover the whole gamut of the county.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
and everybody knows the UPS guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's right.
anyway,
Yep.
yeah. But yeah, I let's see. After the kids got to school full time, I started managing Bingham Transfer, office down there, and did until they closed that down, and then the divorce happened, and now I'm married to David Windsor, and you probably know his son Michael, and Sean and Casey.
Yeah.
So we've blended a pretty amazing family.
Awesome.
And, but in between that time is when I decided to run for city council the first time.
And what about year was that?
Oh, that would have been about 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
crazy to think that's 16 years ago now, but
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it's just 2010 seems like it just happened.
Is that
but
crazy?
Yeah, I graduated in 09, and so yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, yeah, I went, actually, in that meantime, I went to work and managed for my friend the Desert Cross Veterinary Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Doc Debbie.
Okay.
She called me one day and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, nothing, just trying to kind of figure out life. You know, the divorce had just happened." And I said, "What are you doing? I haven't talked to you forever." My horse was her first patient when she moved here from Idaho.
Oh,
To be
really?
the large animal vet,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that's how we got to know her. She's my oldest daughter's age.
Gotcha.
And we took her under our wing and at the time, and so we became good friends. And anyway, she called and said, "Well, I'm calling to see if you'll come manage my clinic." I said, "Oh my gosh, Debbie, I don't know anything about any of that stuff." She says, "I can teach you what you need to know, and I can fix what you break. So I'll see you on Monday." And that's how many years ago, and I'm still there.
Oh, okay.
So when I ran for treasurer, what I do with the finances and stuff, I don't have to have the clinic open. So I'd go in either on my way to the treasurer's office or on a Saturday, Sunday, and do my work.
Gotcha.
And so I'm still there
Okay.
doing that
Okay. Cool.
on a part-time basis. But anyway, yeah, I got the bug to run for city council when it was back when the boom hit. Remember all of the developers coming into the valley and buying up everything they could find to buy up and wanting to put this in and that in and all these subdivisions and all. Anyway, there was a company that came in and bought the property right above us. I live just south of the hospital on that dead-end cul-de-sac of
Okay.
18th.
Yeah.
That real pretty tree-lined street.
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
Cul-de-sac.
See, I didn't
Yeah.
know. I always drive by there. I'm like, that's a cool property. Didn't
Yes,
realize that was you over
we're
there.
We're the split-level home,
Okay.
second house down.
Gotcha.
Anyway, and it's a nice little cul-de-sac, quiet. You know, you're kind of in the country, but you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
And they, at the end of the cul-de-sac across the canal, up in the hills, kind of where a lot of the building is going on now, they had bought all that property.
Okay.
And they were going to put, I don't know how many homes up there.
Up in the hill, is that Quail Ridge? Is that like the
Yeah,
backside of
but
Quail Ridge
like
there?
on the very back side.
Yeah.
Not where Quail Ridge is, but
Okay,
further back.
okay.
It was that property. In fact, I think that's still vacant. I don't know who owns it now, but what was bought at the time was that piece.
Gotcha.
And they had an I call it a get out, but it's egress out to Golf Course Road because they had made some type of commitment the city did with BLM, I guess. There was a little strip.
Okay.
So they were able to cross it to go out to Golf Course Road. Well, the council at the time and the mayor were fighting. I guess the subdivider wanted to come down the hill, cross the canal, and come down our street. Well, that was silly. I mean, that was going to put several hundred cars a day back and forth up this quiet cul-de-sac street when they had an opportunity to go out the other way.
Yeah.
And I think it was just my thoughts, but I think it was an easier sell for them to be able to drive up this pretty street and up into your subdivision as opposed to out in the desert, you know,
Yeah.
from Golf Course Road. That was just my opinion. And so anyway, that's kind of what the council started pushing at the time, and pushing hard
To use your street.
to use our street,
Okay,
and not use that other avenue. And thank goodness at the time, Judge Holt lived down at the end of the cul-de-sac, and he got attorneys involved, and then the canal people got attorneys involved, and they were really pushing hard on it. And the canal finally said, you know, you might win this to get a bridge across the canal, but we'll keep it tied up in court for 99 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I saw then the power that a group of people could have. regardless of what their constituents wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it lit a fire.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know anybody with red hair, but you don't want Eliza on fire.
I've got some family with red hair, so yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, that's what got me interested.
Mm-hmm.
And
which, yeah, why would you want your nice, quiet cul-de-sac, which I'm sure you have obviously had the rights to? Exactly. Why would you want to relinquish that to a subdivision?
Well, and
I understand that completely.
I would have even understood it if that were literally the only way out.
Yeah.
But the subdivider, the developer, I guess, wouldn't have spent that kind of money to know that he was landlocked.
Yeah.
And not be able to get it. So the city had that option.
Yeah.
To let them, to come across BLM, that little strip of BLM just signed it over.
Yeah.
You know.
'Cause they didn't care. Yeah.
So there was that option,
Mm-hmm.
but to just push and push because they could,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's...
But we got it stopped.
Yeah.
And I was able to see what a group of citizens could do.
Yeah.
You know, if the right people got together and
Mm-hmm.
if you're believing in what you're fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what started me down that path. And then Gene Seal and I, and Arnold Lopez at the time,
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of ran as a group. And Gene and I won that first election, and then 2 years later Arnold ran again and he won.
Okay.
So we came into a city that at the time the city manager we had set us down and said and of course it was the same council and mayor that had been seated when they were trying to come down our street, and said the way things have gone and the way things they have structured, the city will possibly be bankrupt in 3 years if you don't start changing some stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They had programs in place that escalated every year, money-wise, monetarily. You know, there were just different. Monies weren't being spent wisely. Let me just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And programs. When you put a program in place, and I found this out back then. For instance, Luke was talking about it. The ball field or the
park that they're putting in over
park,
there? Uh-huh.
Well, not the park, the stadium.
Yeah.
What did they call it? The field house.
Gotcha.
Field
okay.
house.
Uh-huh.
For instance, that will be amazing if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have, on the flip side of that, where are the figures that continually, you've got now, the city owns this property. How much is it going to cost every year to maintain that property? Mm-hmm. Those are the kind of things that we never saw back then, and those are some of the things I'm really not seeing now. There could be stuff in the works. I don't know. I'm not privy to it. Mm-hmm. But that's the stuff I'd like to see, the ones that are privy to, come out and let the public know.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to, fund something, but if it's something that's going to be a continual cost to the city, can we do that?
Right.
Every year on a continual, where
are all those boxes checked?
Have
yeah.
Have you factored that into your decision?
Yeah.
And
Arnold kind of talked about that a little bit. Growth is good
mm-hmm.
as long as it's controlled and planned for, and
exactly.
that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, you have
mm-hmm.
to have growth. I mean, and Luke was right. This place is going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
David's oldest son, Michael, is in a management position up in Safford at Freeport,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to explode, but a lot of that explosion is going to be, I believe, will be your contract labor, which is, that's what Freeport,
mm-hmm.
they do have, they are
mm-hmm.
a big contract company,
yeah.
contract hiring.
Yeah, they bring a lot of people in.
Yes. As you probably witnessed when everything tanked, just not long after the whole mess with our subdivision up on the hill and everything, and then all of a sudden everybody scattered and went back home, and
mm-hmm.
and properties went back to their original owners because nobody could afford anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at that's what you noticed is the RV park. There might have been 3 trailers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Hotels were all empty. You could actually get a hotel room
mm-hmm.
when the copper prices dropped.
Yeah.
And everybody went away. And conceivably, that could come again.
That's-
I mean,
yeah.
that wasn't the first, and it won't be the last.
That's the scary part about the mine
Exactly.
is it's great having the mine
it's
because
wonderful.
it, you know, but we are somewhat reliant on it. And so that's what I don't remember who we were talking to, but I have that question. At what point do we grow enough so that we're not reliant on the mine, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're amazing. They're an amazing community, you know,
Oh, yeah.
with the communities and the help and just everything they do. But that taught me a really hard lesson. And we were on council at the time. We were the newbies. And after our city manager, I told you I kind of get off on a tangent.
No,
I'll
this is
come
perfect.
back.
You're good.
After he told us about this whole bankruptcy thing, and we had to start cutting, well, that was about the same time that hit. We had to lay off, I believe it was 11 employees, and that was horrible. I mean, we had to cut benefits, we had to cut, there were just a lot of things we had to do to survive and to get this, our utility funds. None of them, they were all woefully inadequate, and they needed to be at a certain level, and they weren't. And at the time, that council was balancing their budgets on the back of the taxpayers, is what I want to say. So when you're taking from all your funds, then you've got to raise utilities and you've got to raise taxes because you've funded all this stuff, and you got to have a way to pay for it if you're going to do a balanced budget. Well, that was one of the things that when Gene and I came on, the majority of the council at that time just took a hard stand and said, you know, this next budget year, bring us a balanced budget, and it's not going to be on the back of the taxpayers. You will not raise utilities, and we're not raising taxes. So, you know, keep that in mind. And of course, we got a budget that was balanced, but we were going to have to raise utilities and raise taxes.
You'd have those hard
and
decisions.
we said,
yeah.
nope, not going to do it. You know, so go back and sharpen your pencils, because we took a stand on it. I mean, we'll die on this hill. We're not doing it. We've financed the city long enough on the back of the taxpayers with the, not unfettered spending, but there was just a lot of non-essential spending that didn't need to be done. And so anyway, it was amazing how quick you can find $1 million to balance the budget without having to raise utilities and raise taxes. So that told us it could be done. You know, you can always cut places in your budgets if you have to. I mean, in your home budgets you have to. Why shouldn't it be the same for the city?
Yeah.
You know, and it's a business, and you've got to run it like a business.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example of like some of the non-essential spending that you
One
were
of
able
them
to?
was, and
I'm just curious.
probably get in trouble.
Okay, if you no, and if you
I'm
don't
gonna go
want
down
to,
this road.
that's
no. I'm going to go down this road. I'm going to go down this road.
I was nervous asking the question
No,
because
the one big thing at the time, the one of the things, but it was a major, is they had, if you retired, regardless of how long you'd been with the city, you could have signed on and, you know, been one of our department heads or, you know, a ditch digger or whatever, you know, and retired in 3 or 4 years, you got full retirement along with your spouse.
Wow.
And it capped. No.
why
it
didn't I
gets
work
better.
for the city back in
Exactly.
Yeah.
2008?
It's better. It capped at $800. So if you found a plan that you and your family were fine with, you know, at $400, you got an extra $400 in your pocket. And in that 3-year span is why he brought that to our attention, is we had an aging workforce. And he knew and had figured out this many people are going to be retiring in the next 3 years with them and their families or spouses. The city's going to go bankrupt. You cannot sustain this. And so a lot of our decisions I lost friends over.
Yeah.
But none of it's personal. When you're on, you've got to really kind of go down that road and put blinders on and do what's best for everybody. And we, like I say, we had to cut a lot of things, and tightened belts, and there was not a lot of people were happy with us. In fact, it was interesting that it was probably about a year and a half I was in, and we'd already kind of been doing some of these cuts. And on 2 different occasions, I had gentlemen come up to me. I don't know, one time was on Main Street, and I think one time was in the grocery store. Didn't know either of them, and different times. And both of them basically said the same thing. Do you realize what you're doing on council? If you don't knock it off and quit doing the cuts and quit doing what you're doing, you're not going to get elected again. And I looked at him and I said, well, I've got news for you. I didn't run to get reelected again. I ran to hopefully make the city better for everybody. And if I do my job, I'll get elected again. Mm-hmm. And if I don't, then I don't deserve to be elected. Mm-hmm. And the next election, I was the top vote getter. So you can't look at it that way. Well, you cannot look at your decisions as, oh, I'm going to make this one mad, or, oh, I'm going to make this
every
one
decision
mad.
you make, you're going to make somebody mad.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's
it's a thankless job.
That's an example of that person sounds like it was affecting him a lot, which is not fun and not good. No. But he's short-sighted, I guess, is the word, that he's not seeing why it's happening. It's unfortunate it's affecting him so much, but for the greater good of the whole city, which is a hard conversation to have.
Make sure I'm understanding this correctly, because I'm like, if I'm thinking about it, I bet in that situation there were a lot of people that knew about that, and so they would probably retire from the mine and then go work for the city of Safford for a couple of years, because they knew they could go retire from the city of Safford and suckle on that teat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that
whether any of that happened, I don't know. You know, you're not really a city council unless you had that brought to your attention, and then you go talk to the city manager and start pulling stuff. I had never even thought about that, but it was just, I mean, when we were told that, I remember having lunch with Gene Seal, and we were just flabbergasted. I mean, we couldn't think of a company, I don't care how big they are.
I'm understanding that right. You're saying that in that time period, no matter how long you worked for the city of Safford, if you retired, did they have to meet?
If you had to retire, if you got full medical, dental, whatever your you got full medical, dental, and vision.
Wow.
Just like when you were working for the city, and even if it was just
are there people?
Well, but you put the family with that, you know.
Right.
So here's your employee. Well, you know, insurance. You start putting spouses and children, you know, the family. Then that jumps at how, you know, raises it
astronomically.
Higher.
It's insane.
And so that's even unheard of. We couldn't find an example anywhere, Gene and I, that any company gave you full health benefits when you retire.
And the reason they don't is because it's not sustainable. Yeah. And the reason there aren't any other companies, because it's not sustainable.
You cannot sustain it.
Are there people that are grandfathered into that? No.
Oh, no. Oh. No, when we went down that road, we started we took it down. We didn't just wipe it out. We didn't want to just shock everybody. So we started, okay, if you've been here this long, this is how much you're entitled to.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be here at least this many years to even fit in. And then it got to the point when the whole copper thing hit, we just did away with it. We couldn't find anywhere that offered their employees full medical, full health benefits until you turn 65 when you retire. And I'm sure there were people that probably had, 5, 8, 10 or more years before they hit Medicare age.
And
there was no limit. That was the scary thing about it. There was not. It wasn't like, okay, we'll give you just a certain percent and to help towards. It was. There were some people I personally know of that had Cadillac health insurance.
And I was going to say, I will say, it probably sucks for those people to
yes.
Yeah, it's
but
me as a
taxpayer
who I've lived in Safford, and I own property in Safford, so I pay
taxes.
I pay
Sure.
taxes. Learning that, it pisses me off. Like, I don't want to pay for that.
Exactly.
When they have, I mean, assuming they're retirees, they have access to other plans that they've paid into otherwise. So use those plans.
There were several things they had also implemented, and this was pretty popular then, and I kind of understood the meaning behind it. It was called SmartWorks. It was a company called SmartWorks. They came into these different municipalities, maybe businesses, I don't know, it was a company. And so, like, if you're aging your workforce out, for instance, a department head, and we know they're going to be retiring in 3 or 4 years, they went on the SmartWorks program, which was contract labor. So they were not a City of Safford employee. They were contracted with SmartWorks. And it was only meant to be, it was sold to the council. They just missed a few little tiny words in the contract that they should have caught. But it was only supposed to be for 3 years. And what it was is to have that person train somebody in their office so that when they left, we didn't lose that knowledge. You didn't, that was kind of the precept behind it, is that. Well, unbeknownst to the council at the time, I don't know how it got past the city attorney. I don't know how it got past anybody. But the way it was worded, there was no end date. So, and at that time, they were, the city was treating them as city employees. So if there were raises given, they were given health benefits. They were no different than a city employee, other than they weren't city employees, they were contract. Well, that was another thing that was just piling on. It was not sustainable. I mean, that's not what the program was meant to do. And we ended up doing away with that. And I lost some friends over that worked there. But it was not, I mean, you can't make decisions based on what you're hearing from here and here. And it's hard. I don't like it. I've always been kind of one that I don't really like confrontation. I've since surpassed that. I don't know if it's age. I don't know if that was that plane accident. I don't know what it is.
Your give a damn's busted.
I am. I'm done being that person.
Yeah.
So now.
Well, it's a great example of when you're in a position like on a city council, you're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And unfortunately, the people that know you, and if you make a decision that that isn't pleasing to people that know you, or your friends, and it is not a personal decision.
Yeah. Right.
And I wish people would understand that. It's not like we just picked you out and said, okay, we're going to make your life miserable.
Right.
But I mean, there are times like the whole solar thing that went before the city. I'm a solar customer, so I was one of those in the audience, talking to the council and giving them my 2 cents and everything and the way they voted. But I'm still very, very good friends with Arnold, and I go way back. I mean, they voted how they thought they needed to vote.
You hope people are able to compartmentalize that this happened. It's not great, but hopefully don't hold it. I'm not making the decision personally against you. I hope that you won't, make any judgments against me personally because it didn't work out for you.
Well, and I think on the flip side of that, the people on the council, whichever council it might be, whatever board you might sit on, you need to take that same thing into consideration. You shouldn't be swayed by the people in your ear. Yeah. You shouldn't be. Every decision you make should be for the benefit of everyone.
That's why you're there.
And that's why you're
literally
there.
Why you're there.
The people elect you to go in and watch out for the money that they're paying into the city. So you're overseeing that. And our employees are fantastic. Employees are, 100%. You've got to have good employees in your city. But on the flip side of that coin, the tax-paying citizens are just every bit as important. And so there's a balancing act. You've got to, sometimes the way the scales move, you know, you may not do right by this group, and you may have to, you know, but it's a balancing act, and you're never going to please everybody. But
so how long were you on the council your first time?
I was on for 6.5 years, and then the position came up with Gene Reynolds retiring for the treasurer, and I thought, I'd never done anything like that, and I thought, well, the two that were running, I know as much as they do about that office, which was nothing. I mean, nobody knew really anything. Yeah. And so I thought, well, why not? So I had to resign from council because if you're an elected official, you have to, Okay. And of course, I was fortunate enough to get elected, and I spent 6 years with the treasurer's office. Okay. And learned a lot about the public and taxes. All of these entities in the valley, and I'm probably going to set a fire in the whole valley, but everybody has their taxes they want to raise. You know, college does it, the schools do it, the cities do it, the county has to. Everybody, and when they come in and say, okay, but it's only going to affect your bottom line maybe $2 or $3 to your whatever you're paying right now. Well, multiply that by how many people are doing their taxes, raising their taxes. You know, it's only 1% or it's only 2%. But when you've got all these entities doing the same thing, well, then when you're in the treasurer's office and you see these people coming in to pay their property taxes, a lot of them, you know, widows, widowers, veterans, low income, on strict budgets, and any little increase severely affects them. And after that 6 years, I think everybody that sits on a council or a board needs to be required to spend a day when the treasurer's office is really busy, and face those people and listen to their stories. Yeah. And what you do and how you vote, that's who it affects, and that's what is affecting them. I remember calling. I'm going to call Jeff Larson out. Sorry, Jeff. It was after he got appointed.
We love Jeff.
Yes, and so do I. He and I've known him forever. Anyway, I called him after he got. I was just in, I think, maybe a year into the treasurer's office, and I'd seen it through the first go around of people coming in to pay. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is terrible, you know, because we never, as council, we didn't vote to raise the taxes. We didn't have to deal with that. And so I called him. I says, you always go to the newbies. I've learned that. You always go to the newbies because they're fired up and they want to get in. And
so he was new on Thatcher's?
Well, he had just been appointed for the college.
For the college, okay.
College board. Yeah. So I says, could you come in and just make me understand how all this works, you know, because it's, and I'm not picking on the college. It's amazing. But all the entities do it. And I get that there are instances that you have to. You know, there truly are times you have to do that. But if you don't have to, don't do it. Because that's what you're creating. So I called him and said, could you come into my office for a little bit and chit-chat? And so we chit-chatted. And he explained the whys and where, because I wasn't privy to any of it. And but I knew that sometimes you do and sometimes you don't raise them. It's not just a standard every year across the board. And I says, I think all of you guys, I think everybody that is in that position of raising people's taxes, whether it's a school board, whether it's, you know, city council, town council, governing board, board of supervisors, everybody needs to spend a little time in here and visit with these people that are coming, that the tax you just raised on them made them decide on, okay, I'm not going to get this kind of groceries. I'm not going to be able to do this kind of medication. I'm not going to, because I don't want to lose my home. And truly, you know, everybody thinks they own their homes, but do you really? If you don't pay your taxes, do you own your home? Right. No. Yeah. No, you sure don't. You'll lose it. And those are the people that we dealt with twice a year. And I tell you what, it changed my way of thinking real quick. Real quick. When you see what your decisions and who they're affecting. Because I said, you know, Jeff, I'm not saying that I have a lot of money because I don't, but what some of these increases I can handle and you can handle. but I can show you 10 people that can't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in my office all the time, here at this treasurer's office. So that's always something I really keep in mind now. And it's really a sore point with me.
Yeah. And it can be, going back to what we were talking about, it all rolls into the same thing is, what's the reason behind it? Is it for the greater good? Because it is affecting these people, but if it's for the greater, it's what the
again, on the flip side of that,
mm-hmm.
are you spending what monies you have wisely enough that you don't have to do that?
Yeah.
And that wasn't happening when I first got on council.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening.
Yeah.
It was being done to help spend the money.
Yeah.
To have more money to spend.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. That's a big sore point.
I was going to ask you, just because you mentioned what happened that kind of lit your fire initially to get on. Is there something? I'm curious. That's what I'm wondering. If you're okay with talking about that again, this is your time. This is your time. So, was there something that?
It costs me votes. If I make somebody mad, that I get elected or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But my stance isn't going to change. I mean,
Yeah.
A lot of it had to do with the then city manager,
mm-hmm.
the issues that we were having, and I was seeing. I got involved in that. Started going to the meetings,
mm-hmm.
and shame on me because I had the same conversation with David Bell on Voice of the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get involved with your city council meetings or your town council meetings, go to them. Or like ours, it's City of Safford. You can go on YouTube and watch it live,
mm-hmm.
or go back and watch any one that you want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
It's there forever. If you don't get involved and see what is going on and what monies are being spent or what they're looking at doing or planning on doing, shame on you. And I kind of, once I was out of the treasurer's office, I just kind of quit thinking about it. Because if things don't really come up and affect you personally, you think everything's going along great until you wake up one day. Yeah. Until you wake up one day and your city's borrowed $60 million, or you're
mm-hmm.
You find out after the fact and you're upset about it. But how can you be upset about it when you didn't take the time to try
mm-hmm.
and keep on top of it?
Yeah.
And so so anyway, I started going to the meetings, and it just happened to be falling into their pre-budget. They do every week,
mm-hmm.
budget work sessions. And then I started listening to all of the things they had going on and planning and the capital improvement projects they were looking at. Some of them have been on the books since I was on council.
Mm-hmm.
And when the finance director got up and was talking about the different capital improvement projects, and how much each one was going to cost, and is it 3 year, is it 5 year, and kind of trying to guide the council into making their decisions on what they want to start on and what they want to push to the 5 years, and we can borrow this amount of money from here and this amount of money from there, and then when it was all said and done, they're looking at like $56 million to borrow, and I'm thinking, what? Why wouldn't that go to bond? Why wouldn't that go out to the citizens of Safford to say, yeah, we want to spend this kind of money for our own? Because it wasn't that it was being spent on anything that wasn't going to benefit the city. They were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
New fire station, amazing projects. But
mm-hmm.
again, I go back to my first stint on council, and when the copper prices drop, everything stops. Mm-hmm. It comes to a screeching halt. And you're not bringing in your taxes anymore. Our tax revenues, and this is just stuff that I've gotten from sitting at those meetings. I haven't really delved into any of it.
But that's why you're wanting to get
involved. Why you go.
So you
that's
can.
Why I'm wanting to get involved, so
mm-hmm.
I have a little more leeway to do
mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
But our tax revenues, sales tax revenues, projected for this year are the same as they were last year. Well, that to me, in my limited knowledge, doesn't speak real well about spending a whole lot of money down here if our tax revenues are stagnating. If our tax revenues aren't climbing, why are we looking at spending all this money on things that a lot of it is still going to have yearly ongoing expenses? Have you looked? And they could have it all figured out. I don't have any idea.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you got to keep the public on top of what you're doing in any way you can do it. And that's another thing. I'm going to get off subject. You might have to bring me back. But I talked to David about it, and I said, when you look at it, we've got so much availability with Facebook, with all of the different social media out there. And I feel like we're less informed than when we were getting the courier thrown at our door once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and David explained it better after we got off air, we were talking about that. And he says, because it isolates you. You're just isolated to this one little pocket here and this one little pocket here. And I says, there's got to be a way to educate the public more throughout the whole valley. I said, David, maybe it could be a standing thing. Every Tuesday after the council meetings, 2 councilmen come in, especially if it's a contested something, bring one that's for, one that's against, and sit them down and do your Voice of the Valley every 2 weeks. And he says, you know what? We can do that. I'm going to get right on that. That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I said, there's enough things like what you guys do. There's enough. Our utility bills. People get, I still get a paper bill. I'm all about, I'm in the old generation. I like that paper. And so I still get that. I don't do it online, but a lot of people do. But they still get their bill online. Take a part of that and put in what you're doing. This is what we're talking about at the council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
These are the pros, these are the cons. This is what's going to cost. This is get as much information as you can out to the public. And then you're not being surprised by City of Safford ID cards that nobody knew about.
That was that was.
I forget this is live and my face is on that.
No,
we're not live. We're not live.
That's right. Okay. If I look terrible, you guys.
No, I don't think
want
you.
Anybody just
listen. I think the majority of people that are listening are on the same side as you on that.
my.
So
What
yeah,
When our city council
fiasco.
did not know, when they were as surprised as the citizens of Safford, that we were getting ID cards, and that has since. I think that's just been tabled. We've already paid for everything. I wasn't about to go. I would pay what you have to pay in Thatcher. And it's different than what I have to pay before I would go get me an ID card. Because my ID card has always been my photo ID or my husband. We keep a copy of our utility bill like we're supposed to in our vehicle. And that's what you present when you go out there, so they know this is you, per your ID, this is your utility bill, so we know you're a citizen of Safford. That's all I need. I don't need to have you have all my information and how many people live in my house and everything. And that really, I won't name names, but I was told that, well, actually, I guess at the meeting, one of the meetings, I wasn't at the meeting. Why didn't we know about this?
Yeah.
What do you mean they were as surprised as the public was.
Yeah.
Well, you voted for it. It was in the budget. Well, but they kind of do a generalized budget.
Right.
And I'm telling you what, after going through the budgeting process we went through when I was on council, I feel like it was a lot better than it is now. But after being at the treasurer's office for the 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and Dustin Welker is amazing as our county manager. The best thing that's ever happened to this county, along with our supervisors. But the way they do their budgets, we sat down, each one of us, we had a scheduled time, and it might take an hour, it might take 2 hours. But we went through everything. Every typewriter, all of it. This is in our budget, we'd like to have this year, this is how much it is. And at that time, like everybody, the county was struggling too with its finances. And so Dustin just asked everybody, tighten your belts. Let's all get on board and tighten your belts. Well, we needed new computers there in the treasurer's office at the time. Were we getting by with what we had? It was great. Did not affect our functions at all. We just could upgrade. But it could be put on the back burner. We didn't get them until I think it was about a year before I left. But by then, every department head, because they had done what Dustin had asked them to do, you know, I would say almost all of us, 95% of us, come budget season the next year, we were all under our budget.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't take the stand, well, wait a minute, I budgeted for this, I'm going to go ahead and spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another issue that I have a problem with, is a lot of these people think that, well, I've got it left over in my budget, it's already budgeted, I may as well spend it, because I might not get it in my budget next year.
There's a great Office episode about this. If you ever watched
It's
The
called
Office.
Surplus. It's great.
Surplus,
Yeah.
yes.
There's a great, anyways.
Yes.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But again, it's, yeah. So they voted on a budget that had a lot of stuff in it that they had no idea what was in it.
Yeah.
And then one of the things we did when we were on council is we...
Real quick, we'll just scoot back a little bit and get that.
Okay.
That way, there we go.
Got it?
Sorry.
Is we put into effect that anything $5,000 and more had to come before the council for approval. And that, we had to do that, we had to get back on track, because Safford was not in good shape financially,
Mm-hmm.
and we were not going to put that on our taxpayers with higher taxes and higher utilities. And so we had to really get creative, and that was one of the things we implemented. Well, I'm not sure what the figure is now. I don't know, but it's not 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have caught that. Had that somehow slipped through, that still would have been something that had to come before the council for approval. Even though the budget was approved, that spending still had to come before the council for approval. And I feel like that was one of the best things we ever did.
Yeah.
Because then you as a council have a little bit more awareness of what's being spent. Because if, for instance, let's throw out a figure, if that figure had to be $20,000 or $30,000,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine the amount of spending that could be done, like the ID cards, that wouldn't be caught?
That no one even know about.
And you wouldn't know about it until after the fact, if ever. I don't know. I wouldn't run a business that way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys. I wouldn't run my household that way.
Mm-hmm.
I said in the meeting, and I'm not saying anything that you cannot go back and look at the council stuff about, because I sat in these meetings.
Yeah.
We haven't balanced our checkbook since last July. And I don't know anybody that does that. I don't do it in my own personal life. I can't imagine a business operating and not balancing your checkbook or know what
where
you
their
have
spending
to
is.
spend.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, or where your spending's, where your money's going, and
We do it every single month.
not know where your money's going.
Sometimes-
No, have these
times.
have the meetings talking about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Every month in our business, we have to be accountable for how our branch is doing and the money that we're spending, the money that we're making, and
Exactly.
they hold us accountable. So it's
Exactly.
important. Yeah.
Exactly. And so anyway, I'm excited. I'm hoping I get elected. I'm excited to work with Eric if I get a chance to. He's been amazing. That past city manager just took a blowtorch to all the communities and our relationships with our communities. And, you're never going to get away from the rivalry with Safford and Thatcher, Payman. That just goes back eons and eons and decades through sports,
And
through
it's
whatever.
good. It's a fun rivalry.
And it's a fun
Yeah.
rivalry.
As long as you keep it fun.
Exactly. But when it was going down the road that it was going down is when I just lost it. I mean, I just thought, we've worked too hard. You might not agree on everything, but you agree to disagree, and you still work together.
Yeah.
And same on council. I may not agree. At the time, there were times when I've sat on council, I was the lone vote. I didn't agree with everybody. Did that make me wrong? No, but that's how I believed.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't dislike each other
Yeah.
for it. It didn't tear us apart.
That's
We
how
just agree to disagree.
Yeah, and that's how the rivalry should be, and that's what I love about the schools rivalry or the towns and different, in general is we're still a community, so we're all on the same team. The rivalry is good because it helps push each other, I think, and that's what I love about the sports rivalries in our town is there's a huge rivalry. But me personally, and I think a lot of people have the same feeling, when Thatcher's out of it, but Safford's moving on and playing, you want them to do good.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it spotlights your valley.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we live in a pretty amazing valley, I believe.
I agree. So the rivalry's good, but you got to be able to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Eric has really mended a lot of fences. Everybody loves to work with him, from what I'm hearing.
I've said this multiple
there.
times. I've never heard
Yes.
anyone say anything bad
No,
about him.
I haven't
Yeah.
either.
Yep.
And even as our assistant city
On the
manager.
contrary, his predecessor, I haven't heard
Not.
no
Yeah.
good thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I am not
No offense,
one.
Mr.
Even
John.
my first go around as city councilman, I didn't do a lot of speaking because sometimes I get the red hair kicks in, and it was funny. Gene Steele always sat on this side. I was here. Arnold was there, so he was on the outside, and he and I are good friends. He's married to a cousin of mine, Jennifer. Anyway, I would get on a tangent, and I'd feel up with his knee. And I thought, oh, okay, I better not say anything more. Or he'd just slide his hand up like this under, because the dais sits here and our microphone switches are down here. He'd just slide his hand over there and turn off my microphone. Do you know Gene Steele? Did you ever know Gene Steele?
That's
He's a
Morgan's dad, right?
Yeah, it's Morgan's
Yeah.
dad. And it was just, that's when I knew to shut up. Just rein it in, just calm down.
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, I don't really do a lot of speaking, but this go around trying to get rid of that last city manager, I was on fire. I mean, it was just, we had, the 6 years I spent on council, and we had the majority vote to change and do a lot of things, and we brought the city out of a deep financial hole. None of our utility funds were sorely in just lacking, and they needed to be at a certain level. And like the savings that Luke was talking about the other day, and I partly agree with that. You're paying your taxes for amenities, for things to get better in your city, but the comment that the city manager made about you have it, you need to spend it, people are going to be upset, they're paying their taxes, you're holding on to it. Well, but I don't know about you guys, but I have a savings account and I might want to spend it, but I don't want to spend all of it because I don't know what's coming down the road. And I believe I did a little bit of checking, and I believe that savings is investing in everything is about $70 million. But you stop and think, when you've got a budget that runs anywhere from, $90 million to $130 million or whatever, their budget ends up being every year, that's not going to cover a whole lot of stuff if the copper prices ever take a... And that's what's kept me in that frame of mind. And maybe I'm too conservative, but I don't want to ever have the city get into that position again, where you're laying off people, where you're cutting programs, where you're cutting benefits, where you're just to survive, just to fill the coffers back up. And a lot of the things that we implemented then that have still been carried, I feel like got us to this point. And now all of our utility funds are healthy. We've got savings. But just because you have it, you don't have to spend it. Can you dip into it, some of it? Sure. I'll give you, for instance, on the sustainability. We had several citizens come to us wanting skate park. It was after Thatcher put their little skate park in down there. And there were different...
I helped build that skate park, by the way.
You did?
You
did what?
I helped build it.
Well,
I was on the streets crew at the time. That was like the first concrete experience I ever had, and it was miserable.
It was miserable.
But they did such
Was
a
it
good
in the
job
summer?
on it. Yeah, it was.
Well, that's
yeah.
why it was miserable.
Anyways, sorry.
But no, that's okay. But anyway, a bunch of community members got together and came before the council and wanted a skate park. And so we were trying to figure out, okay, where we could put it that would benefit the most people, or put it somewhere that the city already owned the property. Well, it ended up boiling down to just the city park there by Graham County Chamber. But that was one of the things we had to weigh, because they said we can raise, we have funds, we can raise monies, we can help the city build it, but you have to take it over when we're done? Because that was our question. Well, okay, you have the funds to build it. What now? Who's going to take care of it? Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to pay the insurance and all the upkeep and, you know, the patrolling and the policing? And so it's those kind of things, just like with your big field house, you're going to have ongoing costs. You know, who's going to operate the place every year? Who's going to do the scheduling? Who's going to, I mean, the kids aren't going to be able to just go there like they do the park on, or the basketball courts on 8th Avenue and play ball whenever they want. That's not the kind of facility I'm assuming it's going to be. I don't know too much about it, but anyway, that's what you've got to look at long term is what can you give us some figures? What's it going to cost us?
Yeah.
And the city at the time, we figured we could sustain that, and so we went ahead and jumped on board, and they came up with monies, we came up with monies, and now we've got a skate park that we take care of. But now that's ours forever. And the same thing with anything you build that's got ongoing cost. It's going to be ours forever. And if you've got all these things that you're building to the tunes of, you know, $40 or $50 million, most everything still has ongoing costs. Have you figured that? I just like to hear some figures. Yeah, we thought about this. We've guessed it. You know, we guessed maybe it's this amount or something, you know, but to just, this is what we're going to do. Right. And it stops right there.
And my response to that, and Luke, I think he kind of alluded to it too, is well, you have these types of facilities and you can look at those numbers, like how much is it going to bring in, how much is it going to cost.
Right.
But I think that it's also important to think about, like, people that are considering moving to Safford, they're going to look at what facilities,
what amenities you have. Exactly.
And so, you know, something like that, like if somebody has kids, they're looking at jobs at the mine and they've got kids and they're like, okay, well, what's available for my kids? Or, you know, that may be the deciding factor, because he used the golf course as an example. He said he knows people that moved here because we have a golf and a nice golf course at that.
And the city's pouring a lot of money into it.
So I think that, I mean, that's also something that to be considered when you're making those types of decisions.
Right. Well, and that unfortunately.
But I want you to understand. I'm also with you. Like you can't just. You
have
can't
to
just
have a plan.
You have to have a plan.
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe I could be speaking a little bit out of turn, but get your public involved a little bit. Because if I'm not correct, I mean, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, then I'm formulating that in my own mind. Okay. And I think I'm going down that road only because I went through what I went through for 6 years as a previous councilman, and I saw that side of the coin and what you're able to do and what you're able to not do and what you ought to be careful about doing.
Right.
And but yes, I mean, one of the, I think, problems facing Safford is, where do we go with more building, with housing, with, you know, we're kind of landlocked. We're kind of, until we, you know, unless we can start, what's the word? Annexing some land somewhere. Because you've got to have, it's kind of a catch-22. You've got to have the housing to put them in, to bring them, if they want to have all your amenities that you want to do. But so which comes first? You know, what do you do?
Right.
You know, do you sink a ton of money into this project and cross your fingers that this happens, and then we've got the ability to have more homes, and that could all be in the works. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know,
but that's why you're wanting to get involved. Yeah,
yeah,
that makes
which
perfect
is why
sense.
I'm wanting to get involved.
Yeah,
and it changed my mind a lot when I first got on council. There are a lot of things that you really don't have control over. Things that happen at the state level, at the federal level, and it's easy because used to be one of them. Well, good night. Why can't we have something like that? Why can't, I mean, we pay as many tax dollars as they do. Why can't we have this? Why can't you? Well, but then they don't see the flip side of what the city has to spend on everything.
Right.
You know, we have our own utilities, and we have all of that we have to take care of, and the infrastructure that a lot of the other, you know, municipalities around don't have to deal with. And, that costs lots and lots and lots of money to maintain water and electric and sewer and trash and just those amenities.
Mm-hmm.
And so it opens your eyes when you're on the flip side of it. So you kind of get to understand like what you've got to have this to bring these people in, which Luke is correct on, totally.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have to get it figured out pretty quick.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because that mine's not going anywhere, and it is going to explode.
Yeah.
Now, this is my question. Okay, so if we were to build this facility, and it was to do what Luke was talking about, and brings all these people in, where are they going to stay? Have you tried to find a hotel room? Have people, tried to find?
Yeah, it's
because
tough.
These,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard because
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why, Welker's built that new hotel down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine before that, and I'm just guessing, I don't know, but I would think before that thing got open, there were contractors that already had blocked out rooms for their contract workers.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole.
I heard it was booked for months.
I would
before
imagine.
it even opened.
I've
For months
had
and
people
months.
want to come here and stay. There's no place to stay.
I know.
So there's another side to a double-sided coin. You're going to have to keep flipping this coin because that's wonderful, and I hope that happens. I would love to see that happen and help make that happen. But if that happens and all these people come, what are you going to do with them?
Yeah.
Our roads, have you driven around lately? Oh my gosh, the traffic in town. And I know in the city of Safford, back when I was on council, one of our CIP projects, and it's still not done, was to widen relation from 14th Avenue to 20th Avenue, that one little strip that has no sidewalks and potholes on the sides, and that's still not done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the most traveled roads in the city of Safford,
Right.
20th Avenue. I live right off 20th. That was one of my gripes I took to the city council, is right after Kaylee and her 3 little boys got T-boned coming out of my street. Totaled her Suburban.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we knew this was going to be a problem when they widened 20th Avenue to those nice 4 lanes. It's like a freeway and the turning lane. Once everybody gets out of that congested area by the hospital and by the
split
Let
it
it
up.
fly.
it is just, pedal to the metal.
Mhm.
And I've seen semis come down through there that had to been going 65 miles an hour. Big trucks. Just yesterday I was trying to get out on the street, and I won't say the company name, but one of their big heavy-duty work trucks, he had to be going 60 miles an hour heading south. Well, coming out of my street, my neighbor, his block fence, and then you've got the utility poles. So you almost have to edge, kind of like it down at the hospital in their hospital sign. You kind of have to edge out
To
and
look, yeah. Mhm.
Which is why there's been so many accidents down there.
Mhm.
But anyway, if you're on the outside lane and you're in a little vehicle like a little Datsun pickup or a little car like that little one you see me driving,
Mm-hmm.
unless you get out almost halfway into the street, they disappear from the other side of where Bailey's wife and little boy live in that little house to my street. They just disappear until they're just right there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to Kaylee, and she's in big Suburban, so she sits higher. And she looked, there was nothing coming. She looked this way, knew she could get out, went to hit the gas to go out. Thank goodness she was going slow. This little tiny red Toyota Datsun pickup, 55 miles an hour, which is criminal speed because it's only 35 through there.
Mm-hmm.
T-boned her, totaled her Suburban, and tossed him clear and his truck clear on the other side of the road. And that's only going to get worse because where's our hospital? Now we've got a pharmacy. Where are the majority of our dentists and our orthodontists, and all the apartments, the Sunshine Senior Citizens homes, those apartments on the other side of Vinings. Then you've got Vinings and their traffic.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And now we've got the pharmacy is, when you go through their drive-in window, you have the option to come out onto 20th. Well, their road's right here, and the entrance and exit to Mount Graham is right here. and this guy wants to go this way, this guy wants to go this way. Now, what do you think is going to happen? So I'm just saying, and I do it 4 times a day, and it's crazy. The traffic, the speed, and they put up your little speed limit things and stuff, and I mean, people may slow down. Usually they don't, but if they do, they slow down until they get past them, and then they, it's go off to the races again.
Mm-hmm.
But the traffic is horrendous, and it's only going to get worse. So, that's going to be another thing the city's going to have to look at is how do we move all this traffic safely around our city. And I don't know, my suggestion might be to put one of those little stoplights right there at the hospital.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, more stoplights, more breaking up
Yeah.
that traffic is probably the way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
and people might not like that, but
Well, they probably won't, but it's, again, until it comes to roost in your front yard, or it affects you, then you don't get involved, or you tend to not get involved, or you tend to be the complainer on the opposite side until you have to live that.
Yeah.
And I live it every day.
Yeah.
And something's got to be done. I mean, if the police department wanted to be really knuckleheads about it, they could sit up there all day long. They could never write enough tickets.
Right.
They would be writing tickets all day long, and some
Well,
of
there's
them.
your budget problem right
Oh,
there.
right there. And some of them are criminal speed. I mean, there's some that will roar through there at 70 miles an hour. If I had a radar gun, I could clock people that fast.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the bigger the more people, the more stoplights are needed. And,
Exactly.
if you look at Phoenix, there's a lot of roads where the only option is turning right because it's so
Exactly.
congested. So,
Exactly.
we're going to get to the size where we're just going to have to, it's a little more annoying when you're driving, but it's for the greater good. It's what needs to happen
Right.
to control that stuff. And
Right.
so, I think that a stoplight right in that
Just
area
like
would be a good idea.
intersection there that turns to the high school of Relation and 14th.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go that way if it's before school or after school, because I have seen that traffic from the east side of 14th the east side of 14th backwards towards 8th Avenue, lined up almost to the point that you turn down to go to Lake Nelson
Mm-hmm.
when it's school time. And I mean, it's insane, and it's a 4-way stop.
Yeah.
And so could we use a light there? Probably. Could we use a light at 8th in Relation? Probably. Could we use a light at 8th and 8th? Probably. The more they're talking about all these people coming, and we want them to come, but we've also got to safely move everybody around. So that could be costs that are coming down the road that I'm not hearing anybody talk about.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could probably sit here and go on. I probably dug myself.
No,
Not at all.
I don't. That, and
No,
I was
I
gonna.
People, but
I was gonna mention that too. When you have a city council, you don't want your entire council to have the same viewpoint
No.
on everything. You want a diverse group in there
Exactly.
and trust them that they're going to talk about the issues together and come to an agreement. But if you have
Exactly.
everyone on the council is everyone is pro spend, let's bring everything, it's great, let's not even worry about it, that'll take care of itself. You don't want that. You
No.
want people that
Right.
are on the opposite end, and so no, I don't think you've said anything that's
we
digging
used
any
to do
type of holes.
something that I loved, and we all enjoyed it. Even all 7 of us enjoyed it. Is we had a work session once a month over at the annex building, where the fountain is, the old library,
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday from 8 to 12, and we'd publish it just like a city council meeting. Public was welcome. We just said these are the things we're going to talk about, and we would just list everything we thought we might talk about, just to in accordance with law. And you're welcome to come. You can't participate because it's a work session. You can't ask questions. We're not going to talk to you, but you're welcome to be there.
So that you know what's going on, what's being
Exactly.
talked about. Yeah.
And now that we have the opportunity to do things on YouTube like we do, which we didn't then, you could actually do it at the library where the YouTube. I don't know if that can be switched over to the annex. I don't know anything about that.
Do they still do those meetings?
During
you're aware
their
of?
city council meeting?
But they don't
That's
do the
why their
Saturday
city
one
council
anymore?
Meetings run 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we found that so beneficial because you're not constrained by the. Constrained is the word. It's just a more relaxed atmosphere. You're just bouncing ideas off everybody. Okay, let's throw out the field house. Where are we standing? what are we looking at? What are we doing? What's this going to cost? Where are we with this? Where are we with that? So you're talking about the same things, but you're just not doing it at the city council meetings that cause a 3 or 4 or 5 hour meeting that nobody wants to sit through, nobody wants to watch on YouTube. Well, then nobody knows what's going on. And that's when you start getting people going, wait, what are you guys hiding?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know about this. What are you hiding? And maybe sometimes that's on purpose. I don't know. You get a lot more done when you don't have the public knocking on your door.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But even when we'd go to the League of Cities that they have every year, we would carve out a little, and we would post it. And if you wanted to drive to Phoenix and sit at that meeting, you were more than welcome to. But we would post it, and we'd talk about what we'd done at the conference and just issues with the city. You get so much more done in a relaxed kind of roundtable, throwing ideas off each other atmosphere than you do in the confines of just a city council where it's just hard to talk. It's hard to talk and try and figure things out.
Not as natural.
And so none of our meetings were long. I mean, it's not that we decided things, but we were able to communicate to the public in a shorter.
You had already discussed a lot of the other stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Untangled the knots. So,
But we made sure we were, following the letter of the law. You are welcome to come.
Right.
This is when we're doing it. But we got so much done, and I loved it because it was just so relaxed and easygoing, and you don't have the pressure of just sitting up there and gosh, we're already 2.5 hours into this, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, somebody's talking again. Oh my gosh, somebody's saying this or saying that, and you just don't have that constraint.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Sure there's people out there going, do not elect this woman. Do not elect this woman.
Well, there is, and then there's also people that are saying, please put her in. I mean, that's the fact of the matter is people have different views. People are going to like you, people aren't going to like you, and we'll see what, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I do.
Yeah, it's I'm glad to get to know you and see where your passion comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot about you and feel like at least most of our views align with regard to fiscal matters.
As long as you're watching out for the people that elected you to put you in that position, as long as you're trying to be as fair as you can with everybody. Yeah. And there's always going to have to be give and take on both sides, whether it's the citizens, whether it's employees, whether it's the this one, that one, whatever. There's always got to be some give and take. You can't just be hard-lined one way or the other. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. And you're never going to make everybody happy.
No.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
On any decision that's ever made, someone's going to be upset.
Nope.
Before we wrap it up, was there anything specific that you wanted to talk about? Just want to make sure we're giving you the time that you want.
I pretty much covered everything I think I had on that list.
Perfect.
That I probably wasn't even going to talk about, but
awesome.
Anyway.
I think it was great. I feel like I learned a lot about
you. And once I get going, I could probably sit here all day
with
somebody across and just bounce ideas off of every, you know
right.
what I mean?
Yep.
Because things that you say get me to thinking a little bit different than maybe something I'd already said, and that's how you get things done.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you, and it's easy to see that you're passionate about the position. Oh, that's something I was going to ask you. So, if you are elected, does that mean you won't be with the county anymore, or are you already?
Well, I retired.
You've retired. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cindy Orr.
Oh yeah.
They appointed Cindy Orr for
that's
my
right.
position.
Okay.
Yeah, I had, with my age and with the time I'd spent on council through the elected officials' retirement for the state, and the time I spent with the treasurer, I was at my retirement.
Gotcha.
I could have stayed, but my husband had retired from ADOT a couple of years before, and I was ready to be retired and help my grandkids.
So how long have you been retired now?
Let's see. Cindy would be running. Let's see. This is her. She was in there for 2 years.
Okay.
Because I retired the January after I was in there for 2 years. I retired, and so probably this next major election will be 6 years or 8 years.
Okay.
She would have gone through one election, and 2028 would be another election.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah, but then I
Cool.
still have I kind of make my own hours down at Desert Cross and go
Mhm.
when I need to and run and
That's-
help Jeremy or Brandon and Kaylee and with
That's
their
someone.
kids.
That's someone we need to have on is Debbie.
You really do?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
She'd be fun.
No,
We'd
she'll
really
probably
enjoy
fire
that.
me if she hears this and says, yes, call Debbie and have her.
No, I think she'd like it. I'm sure she'd like
She
it.
would.
Yeah.
She would.
I think she.
Because, she's on
Mhm.
the school board,
Yeah.
and she's got a lot of views on a lot
Right.
of things.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say
And she'll
she's
tell you.
She's very involved.
She's got
Yeah.
a lot going on. She's so darn busy. That might be the hard.
Yeah, that might be the hard part.
Part
Mhm.
of getting her in.
Hey, we'll call her. We'll get her.
Yeah.
There's a few
call
on the
her.
list that I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You-
She would be fun. She would be interesting for you guys to talk to.
Yeah.
And she should just come over probably on her. She takes it like, unless it's just crazy busy. But we have 2 other vets
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah.
So Wednesdays are kind of days that she's kind of set aside. She still is at the clinic. She meant to set them aside for her day off, but she doesn't ever take days off.
Noted. Wednesday.
But she it would either be Roxanne and I that would schedule it. So
Uh-huh.
if you would like me
Yeah.
to,
No, absolutely.
when she comes back, she's in Idaho for the week visiting her parents.
Yeah.
And I'll say, hey, I did this podcast, and they really want to visit with you. What day can I call them and tell them that you're going to come?
Yeah. No.
What hours? Because you can talk as long as you want, or as little as you want. It's not a kind of you only get 20 minutes or.
Right.
Fill her out for us and
I will.
let us know.
And-
Yeah.
and because we'd be the ones to schedule it
Okay.
with her, and she's fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's a no-nonsense, tell it like
Mhm.
it is lady.
Yep. Which is important to have.
Yeah.
I love people like that. So.
Okay.
Well, awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much
Yeah,
for your
this has
time.
been
Good
great.
luck on the election.
Well,
and
thank you, and thank
yeah.
you for having me. Of
course.
Really, I was a little worried about it, but okay, it's
No,
good.
nothing to worry about.
I think it went great.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Like Gucci.